Hello students and friends. Welcome to Homeopathy Medicines. Today in this homeopathic Materia Medica lesson, I will discuss about homeopathic medicine STAPHISAGRIA. Before starting this video, please subscribe to this channel for Learn Homeopathy Online Free and Homeopathy Materia Medica. We need support from you to make this channel more beautiful and more informative. Now going to discuss about STAPHISAGRIA, its uses and symptoms. Nervous affections with marked irritability, diseases of the genitourinary tract and skin, most frequently give symptoms calling for this drug. Acts on teeth and alveolar periosteum. Ill effects of anger and insults. Sexual sins and excesses. Very sensitive. Lacerated tissues. Pain and nervousness after extraction of teeth. Sphincters lacerated or stretched. Mind, impetuous, violent outbursts of passion, hypochondriacal, sad. Very sensitive as to what others say about her. Dwells on sexual matters, prefers solitude. Peevish. Child cries for many things, and refuses them when offered. Head, stupefying headache, passes off with yawning. Brain feels squeezed. Sensation of a ball of lead in forehead. Itching eruption above and behind ears, oleand. Eyes, heat in eyeballs, dim spectacles. Recurrent styes. Chilazzy, platinous. Eyes sunken, with blue rings. Margin of lids itch. Affections of angles of eye, particularly the inner. Lacerated or incised wounds of cornea. Bursting pain in eyeballs of syphilitic iritis. Throat, stitches flying to the ear on swallowing, especially left. Mouth, toothache during menses. Teeth black and crumbling. Salivation, spongy gums, bleed easily, murk, creose. Submaxillary glands swollen. After eating feels sleepy, pyorrhea, plantago, stomach, flabby and weak. Desire for stimulants. Stomach feels relaxed. Craving for tobacco. Canine hunger, even when stomach is full. Nausea after abdominal operations. Abdomen, colic after anger. Hot flatus. Swollen abdomen in children, with much flatus. Colic, with pelvic tenesmus. Severe pain following an abdominal operation. Incarcerated flatus. Diarrhea after drinking cold water, with tenesmus. Constipation, 2 drops tincture night and morning. Hemorrhoids, with enlarged prostate. Male, especially after self-abuse, persistent dwelling on sexual subjects. Spermatorrhea, with sunken features, guilty look, emissions, with backache and weakness and sexual neurasthenia. Dyspnea after coition. Female, parts very sensitive, worse sitting down, burb, creose. Irritable bladder in young married women. Leukorrhea. Prolapsus, with sinking in the abdomen, aching around the hips. Urinary, cystocele, locally and internally. Cystitis in lying-in patients. Ineffectual urging to urinate in newly married women. Pressure upon bladder, feels as if it did not empty. Sensation as if a drop of urine were rolling continuously along the channel. Burning in urethra during micturition. Prostatic troubles, frequent urination, burning in urethra when not urinating, thuja, sibyl, ferropic. Urging and pain after urinating. Pain after lithotomy. Skin, eczema of head, ears, face, and body, thick scabs, dry, and itch violently, scratching changes location of itching. Figwarts pedunculated, thuja. Arthritic nodes. Inflammation of phalanges. Night sweats. Extremities, muscles, especially of calves, feel bruised. Backache, worse in morning before rising. Extremities feel beaten and painful. Joints stiff. Crural neuralgia. Dull aching of nates extending to hip joint and small of back. Modalities, worse, anger, indignation, grief, mortification, loss of fluids, onanism, sexual excesses, tobacco, least touch on affected parts. Better, after breakfast, warmth, rest at night. The mental symptoms are very important, and the impressions nude upon the mind and thence upon the body guide to STAPHISAGRIA as a remedy. Excitable, easily aroused to anger, but seldom irascible, that is, easily disturbed and excited, but seldom manifests it. Suitable in cases where complaints come from pent-up wrath, suppressed anger, suppressed feelings. The person becomes speechless from suppressed indignation, anger with indignation. Complaints brought on by these causes: irritable bladder with frequent urging to urinate, lasting many days after suppressed wrath, after insults. Great indignation about things done by others or by himself, grieves about consequences. A gentleman comes in contact with one beneath his station and an altercation takes place, an argument which ends in insult, and the gentleman turns his back on the other. He goes home and suffers. He does not speak it out, but controls it and then suffers from it. He has sleepless nights and many days of fatigue, brain fag. For days and weeks he cannot add nor subtract, makes mistakes in writing and speaking, has irritability of the bladder, colic, etc. Loss of memory with a sense of weight between the eyes. It is difficult to say whether this is a feeling in the head or an effort to describe a dullness of mind. Feels as if a ball of wood were in the forehead, or as if the whole cerebrum were made of wood. It feels mum. It is difficult to state whether it is a condition of the mind or head. Accompanying this sensation of a lump in the forehead is a feeling as if the whole bark of the head were hollow. The patient may describe it as a feeling of numbness or a lack of sensation. Indifferent, low-spirited, dullness of mind after onanism. Staph cures these conditions when they are the result of sexual excitement, masturbation, excesses in venery, allowing the mind to dwell too much on venereal subjects. Thinking on sexual relations. These patients are irritable, easily fatigued, most excitable, and when they have to control their emotions they suffer intensely. One who is in health can easily put aside a controversy, knowing that he has done what is right, but a staph patient when he has to control himself goes all to pieces, trembles from head to foot, loses his voice, his ability to work, cannot sleep and a headache follows. Many a time a man has come into my office with blue lips, trembling hands, pains about the heart and all over, and he thinks he is going to die. He tells a story of an altercation and pent-up wrath, and staph stops his trembling and quiets him. Without it he would have sleepless nights, brain fag, prostration and headache. This state belongs especially to those who have indulged in sexual excesses. Now, the next step. The senses are in this same irritable state, so that the tips of the fingers are sensitive, the ears are sensitive to noise, the tongue is sensitive to tastes and the nose to odors, so sensitive that everything is painfully sensated. Every little inflamed spot will have in its center sensitive points, little nerve spots. Ulcers when touched cause the patient to go all to pieces and a convulsion threatens. Hemorrhoidal tumors are so sensitive that they cannot be touched. Little nerve tumors form in the skin, little polypoid growths the size of a wheat grain and denuded of epithelium, covered with moisture, red, inflamed, blue, and a mere touch will throw the patient into convulsions and suffering for days and nights. A hypersensitive nerve growth will come out on the hand or on the back. Sometimes it turns black. Again, a little wart will come out, especially about the genitals and anus, little caruncular growths about the urethra and vagina, so sensitive that if nipped between the fingers the patient will go into spasms, especially if a woman. Staph suits all three of the miasms. These nervous states run all through the complaints. Look for a case of staph where the whole mind and nervous system are in a fret. The staph headache is a numb, dull pain in the occiput and forehead, especially in these nervous constitutions. Sensation as of a round ball in the forehead, sitting firmly there even when shaking the head. Headaches from vexation and indignation. Crusty, squamous eruptions on the scalp. Painful sensitiveness of the scalp, skin peels off, with itching and smarting, worse in the evening and from getting warm. The scales are lifted up by a watery exudate and the denuded surface is extremely sensitive to touch. New growths about the lids and balls of the eyes, extremely to the touch. Bomian tumors, thuja, in irritable children, crios. Another feature in staph is its action and the glands, scrofulous glands of the neck enlarged and indurated ovaries and testes, stitching, tearing pains in the glands everywhere. Hardness and chronic induration. Stitching, tearing pains along the course of the nerves, in the heart, and as in such a nervous patient the mind is likely to be on the heart, the stitching pains in the intercostals are supposed to be in the heart. Stitching pains directly through the chest to the back. Swelling of the tonsils after the abuse of mercury. Chronic tonsillitis. Tonsils are not large but hard from previous attacks of acute tonsillitis, stremus diathesis, cross and irritable. Pains come on after eating. The staph patient has much difficulty in the bowels. Subject to chronic diarrhea and to constipation. Colic, twitching, tearing pains in the abdomen. Diarrhea from cold water, from eating, from indignation, anger, with flatulence of a terribly offensive odor like spoiled eggs. Chronic diarrhea or dysentery of weakly, sickly children after anger, after being punished, after emotions. Colic. Enchant. Staph and colic resemble each other. In both, eating and drinking cause griping and stool, both have colic as if stones were squeezing, staph. In the intestines, head and testes, colic. In the intestines and ovaries, both are worse from anger. Quast, colic, and staph follow each other like self, calc, and like. It often happens that nervous women soon after marriage are attacked with frequent and painful urging to urinate which becomes extremely troublesome and may last many days. Staph is very comforting to the young wife. Great teasing and tearing all night long, bloody urine, involuntary discharge of urine, acrid and corroding, with burning, worse front motion. Profuse discharge of pale urine with burning and urging. Burning during and after urination. Staph has cured enlarged prostate with frequent urging to urinate especially in old men, continued teasing with dribbling. Frequent urging to urinate, with a scanty discharge in thin stream or discharge of urine in drops, may be followed by a sensation, as if the bladder were not fully emptied. The most distressing symptom of the male genitals is excitability, but there is also impotence, great weakness of the sexual organs, the sexual desire is greatly increased but there is impotence. Useful in the results of secret vice, long practiced. Seminal emissions followed by great chagrin and mortification, prostration, dyspnea. Effects of onanism or sexual excesses, loss of memory, hypochondriasis, taciturnity, face sunken, abashed look, nocturnal emissions, backache, weak legs, relaxed organs, deficiency of vital heat and tendency to take cold, deep sunken, red, and lusterless eyes, hair falls out, loss of prostatic fluid and impairment of sexual desire, dull and contusive pains in the testicles, voluptuous itching of the scrotum, atrophy of the testicles. Think of the extremely nervous patient. Dry, sensitive warts about the genitals, from psychosis or from the abuse of mercury, which causes a tendency to warty growths. Moist, red, offensive warts belong to thuja. The testes dwindle as well as become inflamed and swollen, genitals waste away. Sensation as if there were worms crawling over him. Crawling, etc., in the female external genitals, cough, plat, petrol, apis, durant. Disp, the latter has. While outer parts feel as if insects were biting and crawling, better from heat or cold. In the female there is violent sexual excitement, nymphomania with extreme mental and physical impressions, mind has been dwelling too much on sexual subjects. Very sharp, shooting pains in the ovary, which is exquisitely sore to touch, pains extend along crural regions and thighs. Menses irregular, late and profuse, sometimes wanting, first of pale blood, then dark and dotted. Scorbutic diathesis, vegetations of the vagina, stinging, itching of the vulva, stitching in the region of the heart, trembling of the body with nervous excitement is an excellent indication for staph. Effects from loss of blood, shock, from surgical operations, injuries from sharp instruments, incised wounds, stinging, etc., in surgical wounds, cuts, colic after lithotomy, urging to stool, qualmishness, worse from drinking, tetter on the hands, itches and burns in the evening after scratching, numbness in the tips of the fingers, arthritic nodosities on the fingers. I remember a patient suffering from gouty nodosities. He had lived a life of peculiar continence, dwelling on his vices, broken down in body. Staph brought out an eruption on his legs as high up as the knees that looked like a pair of trousers. One continuous coat of crusts which lasted a year before it dwindled, but he was greatly improved in his body and his enlarged joints gradually improved. The eruption was yellow, crusty, tough, ethery, and, when lifted up by the moisture beneath, it had to be cut off like a bandage. He was practically crippled, new crops came out on the parts clipped off. It was with difficulty that he walked, for the crusts cut him. Bone troubles, exustices, inflammation of the periostem, acute articular rheumatism of fast or debilitated men, with shifting pains, mercurial bone diseases, ulcers, caries, injuries caused by sharp, cutting instruments, nightly bone pains. Ossoff, Merck, Sil. Thanks for watching this video. If you want more videos like STAPHISAGRIA, please subscribe to this channel and press the bell icon. To learn homeopathy course online free with Homeopathy Materia Medica. Comment us your feedback and what you want in the next video. Like and share this video with your friends and family. For paid and free consultancy online, visit homeopathymedicines.com and mashclinic.com. Thank you. Have a nice day. Stay healthy, stay happy.